The man who needs no introduction.
Because he didn't show up. So I'm here to take his place. Welcome, everybody. My name is Dan, and I got you for about an hour, right?
A little more.
A little more than an hour.
Polite 30.
All right. So that means we can sort of do a quick flyby and talk about this concept of character and how story draws out a character. I'm going to tell you a little bit tonight. Some things you may find helpful. I don't think you're going to find them in any of the books on any of these shelves, because it's kind of an interesting, kind of a unique twist on how to understand the way story works in a movie. If I were to tell you that everything in the movie is character, just accept that on faith for a second. Don't argue with me about that. Let's just go with that for a minute. There's way too many of you here to argue that one. But what I want to talk about is the character-driven movie, and all movies, even action movies, are character-driven movies. Once you understand what that means, what it means to have a story that's coming from the characters. I can tell you I have a little Band-Aid on my forehead. I don't want you all thinking, what the hell is that? As I'm trying to explain to you the intricacies of character structure, you're going, that was the guy with the Band-Aid on his head. But it was, yeah, it's the result of dueling, I think. We were just talking, we have to come up with a story to explain this. I was sword fighting in the parking lot just before the meeting. And I suck at it.
Foiled again.
In a movie, a complete, fully drawn character really has 5 parts. And each of those parts has 5 parts. And I'm just going to kind of run through that with you tonight and explain how that works. And once you get the hang of that, then you're going to be able to understand your story in terms of the different aspects of character. What is story at all? But a person does something, a noun and a verb. Story is how we think, really. It's hardwired into our brain in a way that is so subtle and so pervasive that we don't even see it. Language itself is a story-based communication medium. Every language in the world, it takes a noun and a verb to make a complete sentence. What's up with that? Person does something, a noun and a verb. We understand our world in terms of narrative. And when we start to create a formalized narrative in the way of a movie or a book,
Bless you.
bless you, we have to go beyond a person does something and say somehow how it works out. And once we add that piece on, we have a story from start to finish, and we also have the 3-act structure. That's all the 3-act structure is all about. So when we're talking about a movie, we're talking about a person does something and it works out. We really have to pay a lot of attention to that person. You always hear them say, whose movie is it? Whose story are you telling? That's what we're talking about, that person. Now, I'm going to just call that person main character because it's easy to write MC and no other reason. Main character in a movie is the person the camera follows through the whole movie. You always hear all kinds of definitions. Aristotle, the person who changes from start to finish, is the person of the story. I want to give you something like a little more direct, something like it's the character the movie star plays. No, 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 no. The one with the most lines. No. It's if you have, that's for me, busy. If you have 2 people walking down the road, they come to a fork in the road, and one says, I'm going to go this way, the other one says, I'm going to go that way, the next scene is going to tell you who the main character is in the movie. Because the camera follows the main. The main is in or referred to in every scene in your movie. Got that? That comes as a shock to a lot of writers, which never ceases to amaze me. The main is in or referred to in every scene in your movie. It's the story you're telling. You're telling that person's story, not any of the other people. You can tell any of the other people if you want to, but that would be a different movie. Once you commit to who your main character is, you're in. All the way through, start to finish. Now, for us to draw a complete character, we're going to understand both the character and the movie in terms of a few elements here. One of them I'm going to just say is it's too much coffee before I go. The adjective that describes how the main character relates to other people.
It's the dueling.
If I were to ask you to give me a word or 2 words or 3 words that describes how your character relates to other people, when you do that, you've done much more than just told me how your character relates to other people. You've told me the underlying universal theme of your movie. You've implied the character's journey, or arc as some people like to call it, what's going to happen to this character from start to finish as soon as you say these words. If I were to tell you my movie is a story of a miser. What? What's a miser? All right, let me give you another movie. Easier than defining miser.
So he's stingy.
This is the story of a militant feminist.
From Moliere to the...
It's a story of a militant feminist who inherits. Now, before I even tell you what the movie's about, you're already jumping ahead of me because you know it's going to be the story of a militant feminist who undergoes some sort of life experience and in some way confronts her militancy or her feminism or something, and when she gets into the movie, she's something else. That's so built into this form of storytelling that it's automatic. So as soon as you tell me the character traits that best describe your main character, you've told me that underlying theme, you've told me that character journey, you've told me the end of your movie, just with that one word. It's important stuff. Words count in this writing stuff that we do. So it's the 5 parts I mentioned earlier. Is number 1 is the vessel, is the person. Man, woman, old, young, rich, poor. Number 2 is the adjective, how this person actively relates to other people. And I keep saying it that way because I don't want you to say shy, introverted, those kinds of character traits, because they're hard to photograph those. You want character traits that put the character in motion in some way, that imply an interaction of some sort. The next thing I'm going to list for you as a part of your main character is your main character's objective in the movie. Now, I need to say it that way because everybody in the movie has an objective. The main can have more than one objective. Everybody can have more than one objective. I might even argue that more the better. I don't know. It's really up to the movie. But of all the objectives in play in the movie's objective is the main character's objective, because this entire movie is defined through the main character. So the objective that we're going to care about and follow scene by scene and resolve is this one. Okay? Objective in a movie is simply defined as that which the character is after. More three-dimensional, the better. Well, let me put a finer point on it. Objective can usually breaks down into 2. There's the dream objective, which is, this you've probably heard before, what the character really wants in her heart of hearts. Love, That kind of stuff. That would be the dream. That's not what the movie is, that's not what she's after in the movie. What she's after in the movie is something a little more tangible. A marker, a cup of coffee, the guy, success, and is defined in a very specific way. Something that can be actually photographed. So objective will usually break down into two. Dream objective and movie objective. And if any of you wanted to talk about your screenplays, I would want you to be able to tell me these things. What are the objectives of your main character? Lay them out for me. You can have more than one. If you have more than one, you can list them.